Hello, got a quick question. If I asked you to name the seven wonders of the world, how many would you get? The Colosseum? Stonehenge? No, Eiffel Tower. That's what most people say. Yeah. But here's the thing, if you said any of those, you're dead incorrect. Like very horribly terrible. The Eiffel Tower and Stonehenge are not wonders of the world. Not one time. Never. And the Colosseum? Sure, it's on the list with six other places, technically, but should it? That's how those places became wonders in the first place. In 2001, a bunch of random dudes from Sweden thought that normal people like you and me should vote for whether monuments are wonders and not the government. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But they forgot two things: money and national pride. Do you really think countries are going to sit by and watch their famous landmarks miss out on all that tourist cash? No way. They rigged the poll in every way they could so their monuments would win. Think about that. Why is the Colosseum on the list, yet the Great Pyramid of Giza not? Today, that pyramid is the last ancient wonder left. It makes you think, doesn't it? So hey, why don't I show you what the actual wonders of the world were? I have the right gadget for it. Let's go. Let's go. Well, here we are in Egypt, back in 2570 BC. We'll start with the oldest and then go up. This is the Great Pyramid of Giza, and no, your eyes aren't deceiving you. It is white. Yeah, white. If you went there today, it would appear like a dusty heap with the top off. We'll come to that in a moment. But first, why was this gigantic 146 meters tall skyscraper built, and what is inside? The pyramid was not merely built to display how rich and strong the king was. Its true job was to be a very safe tomb. The old Egyptians thought that their pharaohs were gods on earth, and that after they died, they would go and live with the other gods. When the pharaoh died, no one could disturb his body to make sure the pharaoh arrived there safely. What did the Egyptians do? They dug out and dragged out 2.3 million big stone blocks weighing as much as 600 Eiffel Towers. All of that for a stronghold where the monarch might relax. And you know what? They really did it. The whole thing took only 20 years, and it wasn't built by slaves, no. It was a big gang of hired help and expert workers. Sadly, Pharaoh Khufu died before he saw his tomb constructed. But the Egyptians kept their word and put him in all the same. Where was he put? Right here on this sacred outcropping of granite. That's it. This is the tomb of the mighty pharaoh who built this huge pyramid. It's like they ran out of money and were like, hey, just stick him in there and slam the door. Which they did by moving 3 enormous bricks down a shaft to disguise the real path to the king's room. The other way leads down and down to a random area with more halls that go nowhere. Funny, eh? What was weirder still, the queen's room was below the king's room, but there was nothing in it. But why construct it? No one knows for sure. Some believe there was a life-size statue of the king, however, there is little evidence for this. And those long tubes you see, they were meant to be for air. You can see them, they go all the way from the king's room to the outside, but those 2 tubes from the queen's room, they don't even get out to the outdoors. Were they built haphazardly, like the whole underground half of the pyramid? Or are there still mysteries we do know? We just don't know. The pyramid has been stolen, ravaged by earthquakes and occupied by many rulers over its 4,500 years of standing tall. This gradually changed it into the dusty but still amazing stack of big blocks we see today. By the time modern archaeologists finally opened the tomb, the pharaoh's body and all of his treasure had already been taken out. Snatched. So certainly, a lot of mystery about the Great Pyramid of Giza. Some people even think it was an old-fashioned power plant that used gas to create energy and then distributed it wirelessly through Egypt. If it was the case then, I suppose there's just one explanation. Aliens, just joking. That's absolutely nuts. Okay, on to the next wonder. Here we are in Iraq, about 600 BC. Oh, the lovely hanging gardens of Babylon. It was like a green mountain in the center of an antique city, said the people. The garden contained hundreds of various plants, trees, and flowers. How did they water it all? They had a fairly smart system. They raised water to the top by an early kind of screw, and down it went past all the magnificent flora, watering everything at once. That is some serious engineering for 600 BC. Too bad that might not be true. Oh, did I say that? There is no evidence that the hanging gardens of Babylon were real. The only evidence we have is from older Greek writers writing about it. King Nebuchadnezzar II is said to have built the gardens for his wife who missed the verdant hills of her birthplace. So he made this garden so she would never miss home. Something out of a fairy tale, right? Well, maybe it is. For 12 years, archaeologists have been digging all over the ruins of Babylon and have found nothing like as the old scribes recounted. So if we want to be truthful about history, there truly is nothing to see here. Okay, next stop, Turkey, about 550 BC. This is the Temple of Artemis. Well, technically, this is just an older, uglier version. Actually, they erected 3 temples, and the third one was the real wonder. The first temple was built a long time ago to worship the Greek goddess Artemis, who represented nature and having offspring. That was really important to folks back then. However, about 700 BC, a massive flood destroyed the temple and all the surrounding farmland. They assumed it was because they did not adore the deity adequately. So they decided to build a bigger, better temple to earn back her favor. Big things take big money. It took 150 years simply to start building the new temple and another 120 years to complete it. But hey, it got built at last. Not for long though because of this guy. I can't even say his name. This guy was nuts about fame. You might say he was the first TikToker, and he was incredibly obnoxious like the rest of them. So one night he sneaks inside the temple and burns it to the ground. The whole thing. Why? Because he wanted eternal fame. And I hate to say it, but I guess he got it because we're still talking about him. Too unfortunate for him, he managed to get his head hacked off as well. So here we are again, yet another temple in ruins, a bunch of angry individuals who can't worship their deity. Guess we build it again, eh? And they did, this time bigger and better with wonderful art within. It attracted people from near and far. The temple really stood for about 800 years, but then it was set on fire for no reason by the Goths in 268 AD. They just like to stir up trouble. And then in 408 AD, a massive Christian crowd tore the rest down because the emperor said everyone had to be Christian. It's a little depressing, but at least they used the broken pieces to create another great church. You can still go and see the remains in Turkey today, and I tell you, they really have good meals. Okay, let's go. Where are we? Wait, let me get a light. Yeah, this is not ancient Greece. I think my time machine must have gone haywire and sent us somewhere else entirely. Let me see outside where we are. Oh no, hey, don't panic, but do you know how to drive a tank? Awesome. All right, work on that. There must be a manual someplace here. Oh, fantastic. How to blow up a tank with one good shot for dummies. Couldn't have come at a better moment, right? Okay, for real, however. Per usher de questa situazione basta premier il gran pulsante rosso ci dice fuoco. Ci pulsante? Oh, that one, and you didn't bother to tell me. Whatever, don't utter a word, not that you ever would. Okay, now let's see what we've got against that tank. Hold on, what do you mean I'm fired? Who puts a button in a tank that shoots the person driving it? No wonder it was vacant when we found it. You know what? Forget it. This is dragging on and we still have 4 wonders to visit. Have a nice Cold War, losers. Well, here we are in Greece, 435 BC. Fun fact, we didn't come to check out this gigantic skyscraper. We're here for what's in there. The statue of Zeus, the reason this statue was constructed is kind of stupid. The Athenians engaged a person named Phidias to construct a statue of the goddess Athena. The Olympic Games judges got incredibly jealous. They responded, "We can't let those people east of us have a statue of a god and we not have one too." So they gave Phidias a lot of gold to construct a monument for them too. They must have been bigger and had a better deity. So why did this statue make the wonder list? Now, don't get me wrong, it's enormous and really demonstrates how angry the ruler of the gods could get. But compared to the Great Pyramid, this one is somewhat of nothing to write home about. So why is it on the list? The statue was more than a god. It expressed the love and reverence that ancient Greeks had for their gods. It was more than a sculpture. It was the evidence of their enthusiasm and pride. Fancy, isn't it? The temple and statue had stood for hundreds of years but could not last forever. Earthquakes, flames, and the Goths destroyed it again. Idiotic Goths. Why can't they simply leave us the hell alone for once? So I saw this very good movie the other day where individuals could see how much time they had left to live. I like that so much I built these goggles so I can see that too. Just look over there, for example. That's Mausalis. He is the governor of this place in modern Turkey. Watch him carefully because in 5 seconds he's going to die. You see the woman standing next to his body? That's not his sister, and that is his wife. Yeah, people did odd things in the past. Anyhow, she's distraught and wants to give him the perfect funeral. It was not a modest grave beneath a tree, his wish. Oh shit. He planned a 44-meter-high tomb in the midst of the capital city so that everyone would remember how amazing he was forever. Spoiler alert, she made it, and she spent a lot of money. The best builders and painters were called in from Greece to do the work. The tomb was full of wonderful carvings and sculptures. This marvel was 44 meters high and included a base, columns, a pyramid top, and a colossal statue of Mausalis and his wife riding a chariot at the very top. A nice retreat for an affluent governor to rest. Fun fact, the word mausoleum comes from this wonder. Thanks for that, Mausalis. For once, the Goth females weren't breaking anything. This tomb has really outlived Alexander the Great, pirates, even fires, but it did not withstand a severe earthquake about the year 1100. Surprisingly, it still stood a long time after that, until the year 1494. That's slightly over 500 years ago, making it the second long-lasting ancient wonder. The pyramid still holds number one, but the coup de grace didn't come from an earthquake. Many knights were terrified the Ottoman Empire would assault their castle, so they broke up whatever was left of the wonder and used the stones to reinforce their hideaway. But here's the kicker: still have no idea. They got totally wrecked. What were they thinking? The Ottomans were at their height, and these 80 knights thought they could stop them. Yeah, it was very dull, honestly. Want to hear about a crazy siege instead? Let's discuss the Colossus of Rhodes. The 30-meter-high statue made of bronze and iron was erected to celebrate a great military victory and to honor their sun deity Helios. So this is the short explanation of what happened. Alexander the Great, he conquered all this territory, then he died. Makes logical everybody dies eventually. But he didn't choose anyone to inherit his land, so his generals split it up. And what do generals want to do? Fight themselves. One of these wars was between a great dynasty and a small island city called Rhodes. Rhodes was a very profitable city since it was a major center of trade. So the ruler of the dynasty wished. The people of Rhodes saw the attack coming, so they built up their defenses and made friends with other states, including Egypt. But that didn't end the fight. The siege began in 304 BC. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Rhodians held out for many months because to the natural protection of their city, surrounded by hills. But then came the final boss, a massive siege tower called the Taker of Cities. It was over 40 meters tall and 20 meters wide, with 16 giant crossbows spread across 7 floors and over 3,000 soldiers inside. But even that monster could not break down the walls or the spirit of the Rhodians. With help from their Egyptian friends, they broke free after a whole year of being attacked. The enemy ran away so fast that they left almost all of their war equipment behind, including that huge tower. So what better thing to do with all that metal than build a massive statue of their god? This is my favorite ancient wonder, but it's also the one that lasted the shortest amount of time. Only 56 years after it was built, it broke at the ankles and crashed to the ground. And where did it stay? As a tourist attraction for another 800 years. And yes, this wonder got looted and stripped down too. But here's something to think about. Why don't more cities build amazing things anymore? Everything we build today is boring and the same just to save money. The people of Rhodes survived a whole year of being attacked. It ruined their economy and buildings, but they chose not to sell all that war equipment. Instead, they melted most of it down to build a huge statue celebrating their pride and victory. Culture is pretty cool, you know. You'll miss it someday. Welcome to the final 7th wonder of our time-traveling trip, the lighthouse at Alexandria. It's the youngest ancient wonder, built in 280 BC. Picture this. A big coastal city with a huge, busy harbor. Ships full of amazing wealth come in to sell their goods and make even more money. It's a good life, at least on sunny summer days. On stormy nights, it's a totally different story. Back then, not everyone knew how to sail well, so ships often crashed into each other or into the shore because nobody could see. It also didn't help that the harbor was tricky to get in and out of. One day, the rich people of Alexandria thought, what if we build a lighthouse on that rock over there? That way, more merchants would want to come to our city. The lighthouse had 3 parts, a square base, a round middle section, and another round top where the light shone from. This thing was 130 meters tall, so it needed a super bright light. But electricity wouldn't be invented for another 2,000 years, so they came up with a clever solution. They used mirrors, lenses, and shiny bronze to make one small flame look incredibly bright. It was the brightest man-made light of its time, and it helped thousands of ships find their way to the city every day. Now you might be thinking, why spend so much money on this super expensive lighthouse? It cost around $100 million in today's money. Couldn't they have just built a normal one? Well, to show off that they were better than their competitors, of course, be honest. Where would you rather go? A city with a big, bright lighthouse or a city with a small, weak one? Exactly. Like moths, the merchants swarmed to Alexandria, making the rich people even richer. Pretty impressive. What's also impressive is how long it lasted. Even though many earthquakes damaged it over the years, the lighthouse of Alexandria stood for 1,500 years. That's insane. Then one day, a final earthquake knocked it down, and then everyone crashed their boats and died. Okay, I might have made up that last part. And that's the end of our wonderful trip through time. Now for the big question you've been dying to ask me. Do I think all the ancient wonders are better than the current 7 wonders? No. The Great Wall of China, for example, is way more impressive than the statue of Zeus. And since all but one of the ancient wonders are destroyed, it makes sense to fill those spots with new ones. But again, why isn't the Great Pyramid of Giza one of the 7? I say we need another vote. Before I let you go, there's just one small thing left to do. Remember when I dared you to remember the names of the 4 famous artists who worked on the tomb? Here we are. What were the 4 names? Oh, you can't remember. They were Scopas, Bryaxis, Timotheus, and Leochares. How could you forget? I even told you to remember them. Surely you remember the name of the pharaoh buried inside the Great Pyramid. Khufu. No, you don't remember that either. Seriously, do you remember anything I told you? You know what? Don't even answer that. I can't let you walk away knowing that time travel is real. Plus, your time is almost up anyway, so thanks for coming along on my journey. And well, the truth is, the game was rigged from the start.